Hey baby girls, today I'm going to show you how to do an arm wax at home, and I'm going to include the hand area. For most people who don't realise when you have an arm wax, your hand and fingers are included. So we're first going to start off with cleansing our arms. We're not going to have any moisturiser or any creams or serums sat on the skin, as this will put a barrier in front of the wax. Today I'm going to be using Salon System Just Wax Pre-Cleansing Wax Gel. So we're just going to rub this into the skin, and then we're going to use a tissue just to wipe all that excess product off the skin, and this will remove any creams and lotions sat on the arms. Don't forget to include your hands and the knuckles. You want to grab a handful of strips and just make sure you can grab them easy access for when we're waxing. So you also want to make sure you've got your spatulas close to hand. Some people like to use the wooden disposable ones, some people like to use the recyclable ones. So today I'm going to be using Salon System's Just Wax, and this is their soft wax. You can use any form of wax to wax your arms. I recommend a cream wax, a soft wax or a gel wax. You'll get the best results. So we're first going to start with the bottom of the arm and work our way up. So I'm going to start with my knuckles. I find this way you get less messy. So we're only going to apply a tiny bit of wax on the wax spatula, because we're only going to start with the knuckles. So you want to melt your wax pot in a wax machine. I'm using the brand Star Pill, and I like to melt my soft wax at 95°C. So remember, I do have an insert in this wax pot, so that's cooling my wax down automatically. If you buy a pot of wax, it will say on the instructions the temperature it recommends you to melt it at, but I find this works perfectly for me. So you can kind of gauge it because your wax wants to look a little bit like this. So runny, not too thick, almost like a honey or treacle consistency. So we're first going to start with the knuckles. I like to start from the bottom of the arm and work my way up. This way you get less messy. And you keep swizzling your spatula, and this allows the wax not to fall. So just a little bit on the knuckles. Keep twisting so you don't get any excess wax dripping everywhere. So we're going to press the wax strip nice and firm and pull off in the opposite direction. And again, we're going to press that wax strip nice and firm and pull off in the opposite direction. If it leaves any residue, you're just going to go back over until it's all off. So that's the knuckles all done. Some people get a little bit of hair on the fingers below. I don't, so I'm not going to bother waxing that area. But now we're going to start on the hand. So now we're going to start from the wrist to the knuckles. So we're going to get a little bit more wax. And we're going to apply it from one corner to the other. So you can usually do your hand in maybe 2 swipes of wax, as long as your spatula is sat in this position, so it's gliding the wax along. If you was to put it flat, you won't get much spread of that wax, so really have it sat up straight. We're going to pick up a fresh wax strip. I always find working with fresh wax strips on yourself is a little bit easier. I'm going to give it a nice firm press and then rip off in the opposite direction. You can see a little bit on that corner, opposite direction. If you have any residue, just flick over with the wax strip and that'll take that all away. So my arm hairs aren't particularly hairy at the moment. You can see obviously a few fine hairs, but we wanted to do this video and actually it makes it less painful for me when they're not so hairy. But actually, if I'm being honest, an arm wax doesn't hurt too much at all. It's really bearable. I mean, I can do, you can see I'm doing it to myself and I'm in no discomfort. The key is to apply your wax nice and thin and use fresh strips if you're doing it on yourself at home, because it makes it a lot easier and you're not so sticky and messy. So we're going to start from this crease of the arm and we're now going to work our way down to the wrist. I like to do this in smaller sections when I'm working on myself. It's a little bit easier and less messy. And you can see I'm applying it nice and thin all the way to the wrist. And I'm only going to stop at about there. If I do the whole arm, it gets messy, you stick to the sheet and it's chaos. So we're just going to do this section here and we're pulling off in the opposite direction. This area where my hairs are on my wrist, they're actually growing in that direction. So I'm going to place my wax strip in that direction to pull off. And same with that section just there. And then the rest are growing in that direction. Keep your arm nice and taut. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. If you have a little bit of slack in there, it will pull your skin and you might bruise. So we've managed to get all the hair removed from this area here on the inner arm and on the front of the arm in that position. But we now need to remove this area of hair. And the best way to do that is to pop your arm in this position. I like to put my hand on my shoulder and then we can get rid of all this hair here. So we're going to apply our spatula from here downwards. It makes it a little trickier that I have tattoos because you can't see the hairs quite as clear on someone who has a naked arm. But I can still see them popping through ever so slightly. Okay, so that's covered all those areas that I've missed from the front. And now in the opposite direction, we're going to get our wax strip again and remove. Just make sure you move your head out of the way, otherwise you're going to give yourself a black eye. If I've missed any areas, or if there's any wax residue on the skin, just go back over to clean those up. So now this area is all hair free. We're now going to concentrate on the elbow. Not everybody has particularly hairy elbows and some people might want to skip this part. I do have quite a lot of fluff around there, so I'm going to get rid of that and I'll show you the easiest way. And we're just going to apply it around the elbow. Almost making a little pattern. like that. And then we're going to take the hairs off. Make sure you're giving a real firm grip and a pull when you're removing. And also our elbows tend to be a little bit drier, so sometimes the wax can get stuck on the elbow area. If it does, don't panic, just keep going over until it's removed. So I actually haven't got a mirror in front of me, so I'll have to ask my cameraman if I've caught all the hairs. Thank you. So if your arm's feeling a little bit tacky, especially around the elbow, you can use a little bit of oil to remove all that tacky residue. And if your hands are feeling a little bit sticky too, I like to use this oil, which is a Salon System Just Wax After Wax oil. This is the tea tree one, and you can pop a splash of this on your hands and rub that in, and it just gets rid of any super sticky residue. You can even pop that on the hands and on the arms that you've waxed, and then you have no more stickiness. So the last bit I always like to include when I do a forearm wax is this little area here. You can go up and do a full arm if you feel like it, but my hairs up here are not too hairy, but this bit here I really don't like. So I'll show you how to do that bit. Small amount of wax on the spatula. So check the arm. If you feel like you've missed any areas, or you can see a few stubborn hairs, you can tweeze them, or you can go over any patches you've missed, but just assess them. And if you feel like you've done a good job and there's no more hair there, we can go in and soothe them with after lotion. So now for the best bit, we're going to soothe our arm with some after lotion. I haven't got the bottle to show you, but this is Salon System Just Wax After Wax Lotion in lavender. So this is the best bit, it's so soothing. You might notice you have little red bumps everywhere. That is so normal. Your hairs have just been ripped out of your follicles, so your skin is having a little reaction, but that soon goes down. But this also helps take that sting and sensation away. And that's how easy it is to do an arm and hand wax on yourself at home. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.